Hey, good morning, garden friends. I want to share with you a quick hot tip on how you can buy one herb and get many. Hi, my name is Landon Gilfillan with Pepper and Pine Garden Design, and I'm going to show you today how you can make the most of your money by going to shop for herbs and looking for something that a lot of people aren't aware happens. I did a video series, a very small video series back in the winter, probably February or March, on how you can get basil for life by buying one plant, generally at even the grocery store or a local nursery, specifically herbs like basil, oregano, thyme. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that in one small pot are actually many plants. And they do this because, as we all know, some seeds are really small, really tedious to try to sow one per plant. Some plants actually do really well multi-sown. I have a whole video on that. But a lot of these herbs that you'll buy at the store actually have many plants in one little pot. And if you're looking for it, you can actually just buy one and get many, which is what I did yesterday. I grew most of my herbs from seed, but there were a couple that I lost, including my oregano and some of my Thai basil. So I went to the nursery yesterday and I started looking, and I got one oregano plant. Actually, I ended up buying two just to be sure. But I got one oregano plant, and if you look really carefully, each stem, main stem of the plant equals one plant. So what I'm doing is I've already divided this one plant 4-5 times, and I could keep going. There's probably 20 oregano plants in this one little 4x4 pot. But because I don't want to disturb the roots too much, I'm basically splitting it into like fifths and sixths and then putting it directly in the ground. Here's an example of one little seedling that was in the pot. You can see it's one little stem and it's one root, one plant. And if you look just in this one little section that I've already taken apart, there's many oregano plants in here. So don't feel like you have to go to the nursery and buy a bunch of herbs if you're trying to have a really nice, robust herb garden. You really just need one. So I've separated these out. Like I said, I'm leaving some of them intact because I don't want to mess up their roots too much. This one might make it, but it has, a little bit more root disturbance than like these other ones I've left intact like this. I may separate this one more because I can see there's a place right there where I can separate it out. But I'm just going to separate them out and I'm put them in the dirt, and then I'm going to give the garden a really good water. Now, herbs generally aren't fussy. They don't generally need a ton of water. But just to make sure that these guys get established after being stressed by separating their roots, I want to give them a really good water in the garden. And let me show you a couple more that I bought and how they look a little bit different. But once again, I got many for one. Now you might be asking, do I really need to separate out all of these roots to have an oregano plant? Not necessarily, but I will say that you'll have a much healthier plant if they're separated out and have their own individual spot with their own set of nutrients. If you have all of these oregano plants in one space trying to compete for the same nutrients, although herbs generally, again, are not fussy and they don't require too much, but I probably have 20 plants at least in that one little pot. Now, definitely it's not going to thrive in that pot unless I'm regularly fertilizing it, and then it might even ruin that plant from being over fertilized. So by separating it out, you're going to be able to give each little oregano or whatever herb you're planting its own space, allow it to not be competing for nutrients. And then whether you use that oregano or give it away or dig it up and sell it to someone else, I mean, that's the beauty of it here. I now have 12 oregano plants. And truthfully, like I said, there's more plants that I didn't separate out. I probably have at least 24, if not 30 oregano plants from that one pot. If I had separated out every individual plant and placed it in the ground, I could eventually sell that if I wanted to, or go and see if a restaurant needs oregano from a garden, or give it to friends. There's so many options here, but I would say maximize what you have. Put it in window boxes. Oregano is really pretty as like a little border for a window box. That's actually a great idea I hadn't thought of till just right now. Herbs can be really pretty in a pot or a window box, so use them around your house. Oregano and aromatic herbs like those, parsley, oregano, thyme, those are all, I'm trying to think of sage. they're all really great companion plants for other garden plants. So even if you're not going to be utilizing them for herbs, put them around plants that tend to have a pest pressure, and those pests will be deterred and repelled by the smell of those herbs, especially your brassicas. So consider just planting them as companion plants around your garden. There's lots of things that you can do with extra herbs. They're never going to be a hindrance or a burden, trust me. Now here's the basil that I bought, and if you can see there are 3 nice plants right there from this one little pot that cost me $3. So 1, 2, and 3. So I get 3 plants from this, and if you watch my Basil for Life tutorial, you'll see how you can get many, many more plants just from this one pot. You could have basil for days, basil for life. So make sure and watch that if you love basil, and learn how to propagate even a little plant like this. So for right now, I'm getting 3 plants out of that. And then I did get another Thai basil plant. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plants. Is that right, or is that 5? Yeah. 4 Thai basil plants, which is all that I needed, which is awesome. So I had planted 4. I have 3 that are trying to pull through from that cold spell that we had last week, but I'm going to go ahead and plant these new healthy hardy plants, which you can also propagate just like your regular sweet or Italian basil, and get a lot more. And basil is it's a wonderful companion plant for tomatoes. It's a good companion plant for peppers. So again, even if you don't use all these plants that you're getting in this one little pot, companion plant them with your tomatoes and your peppers and your eggplant, or even your other Mediterranean herbs. I have a whole row here of all my culinary and Mediterranean herbs. And so just make a nice herb garden out of it and consider it a bonus. If you're nervous about separating out the roots, just be gentle. I always like to loosen the bottom like this, and which you should do really with any potted plant, to keep them from being root bound. I always loosen up the roots on the bottom so that then they can sprawl out and get nutrients. But I usually start there, and then I'll just kind of start pulling on the plant like this. And yes, you're gonna have some roots that get torn. But again, herbs are really hardy. So now I'm just gently pulling on these stems, which are pretty well established, and the roots will just separate out. So there's 2 plants. These are pretty close together. So I'm just gonna loosen the dirt a little bit. And I'm just pulling them apart. And now I have 4 Thai basil plants. So again, I hope this video has been helpful, learning how you can really stretch your dollar and maximize your herb and really flower purchases. There's so many different plants that you can go to the store and find multi-sown like this. Vegetables, I've seen flowers. So if you start looking in your little pots when you're at the nursery, you might be surprised how many plants you can get for the price of 1. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure and subscribe or share it with those who you'll find it to be helpful, and go plant you some herbs. Again, my name is Landon Gilfillan with Pepper and Pine Garden Design, growing gardeners and their gardens, and I'll see you in the next video.